Welcome to the Boca Voice, and thank you so much for joining us. Today we're going to continue our series with our interview series, and today we're going to be interviewing Al Zucaro, who is running for mayor. Oh, Al's not here. So, we've asked to interview Al a couple times, and 2 times he offered to come on for interviewing, and then twice last minute he canceled. We gave him an opportunity, last opportunity to come on and interview, but we're running for a tight race in Boca Raton, and it's important for us to take this seriously. Al obviously is not taking this seriously. For someone that's running as a transparent candidate, we've made this very clear. We need to get some answers. So we've taken the opportunity to go out to our residents. They've sent in some questions. We found some other questions we'd like to find out. He's made a lot of statements. He's used his platform, the Boca Watch, to use as an open platform to go against a lot of the candidates, and one of his other running mates has used this platform to go after some of the other running mates. So we're going to ask some questions, and then hopefully Al will be able to answer those in a timely fashion so that the residents can find out who they're really voting for. Now, if you're running as a transparent candidate, part of that is being transparent. So let's try to find out some questions. First and foremost is the Boca Watch. What is your involvement, Al? You said you stepped down as a publisher. However, most of the Boca Watch still shows you as the publisher. Is it currently a news source? Is it a political action committee? Who's funding the Boca Watch? Have you reported how you've used the Boca Watch actually and reported any advertising dollars for the Boca Watch to the campaign committees? One of your questions specifically was that the day that you endorsed yourself, you basically were also endorsed yourself as a publisher. Can you explain that to us so that we understand? Are you the publisher? Are you not the publisher? Some of the news sources said that you stepped down, yet the day that you actually made the endorsement, it came from you, the publisher. We'd like to have the answers for that. Now let's go on to the Wildflower. You're making a claim. It's all over Google. If you look at any Google ad campaign that you're running currently, you're taking claim that you are champion cause, that basically the architect of the Wildflower referendum. Now, without arguing the results of that vote, which did win, and I'm not going to refute the fact that the referendum did win, let's talk about the tactics that were actually used. There were many direct mail pieces that went out that were not factual. So if we can use that analogy on that non-factual direct mail pieces went out, how do we know that direct mail is not being used currently in the same manner in this campaign? Now, who funded the referendum? And are the same people that funded the referendum funding your current campaign? How do we know how you're utilizing those particular tactics and how we're utilizing it? You're running as a transparent candidate, yet you're not allowing us to talk to you. You don't utilize any types of ways for us to talk to you in a way that we can get meaningful answers. You talk in very general statements, and you don't allow us to have any kind of access to ask meaningful questions. Now, same thing goes for traffic. You're very vocal about traffic. Although you have written many articles and you've had many videos on the subject, you have actually done no studies. Unless you've done a study and you haven't shared the actual study, I can't find one study on either Boca Watch or a Google study that you yourself or any of the people on Boca Watch has actually done to compare to anything in the city. So, formally, have you done an actual study on traffic in Boca Raton? You made a statement at the Federation of Homeowners that said, quote unquote, the Spanish River exit has already failed. Can you please explain? I'd like to understand how it actually failed when it hasn't opened. There's many civil engineers that are thinking this is a project that's widely successful prior to it even being opened, just based upon factual information and traffic studies that they did at a state level, not at a local level, at a state level they did for us. So I'm confused as to how you can say factually that it's already failed before it's opened. I think it's a very bold statement. And again, you're running as a transparent candidate, so how can you make that statement? All right, now let's get into the meat of your campaign, which seems to be traffic, because just like your statement, smart managed growth, it's a vague statement. And you keep on going into these things like traffic, which are very vague. And you talk about traffic, but although you've written many articles on traffic and you've talked in video on traffic, it's all vague. I don't think, or I've not been able to find, I've Googled quite a few things about you, and I've not been able to find one study that either yourself or Boca Watch has done on traffic in Boca Raton. I do find it interesting, however, that in the Federation Homeowners Forum, you made a statement, and I want to quote it, I'll quote it as close as I possibly can, that the Spanish River exit has already failed. Now, I find that a very interesting statement, considering the fact that state civil engineers have expected this to be a huge success, and they've done many studies on the subject, and it's gone on for years, but yet you have already failed it without it even being opened. So I find that interesting. I'd like to dig a little bit deeper into it, and I would, but you unfortunately refuse to sit in the seat after twice agreeing to come on the show and refusing to come on just moments before agreeing to come on. But that's for another day. So you talk a lot about traffic, and you go into, and now you're even moving into Midtown, which you don't live over in Midtown, so you talk a little bit about it and you dip your toe into it. The people over in Midtown are excited about the project because they know what's coming, and they know the traffic issues that could come over there can be relieved based upon the Tri-Rail station coming in. We also know that the traffic coming into Boca Raton is broken down into basically 4 components. And you don't talk about that in any of your videos or any of your articles. And those 4 components are really broken down into commuter traffic, you have pass-through traffic, you have seasonability traffic, and you have development. I'm not denying that some of the traffic is from development, but you don't ever talk about the commuter traffic. And the commuter traffic definitely hits our streets in the morning and in the evenings. And then we have commuter traffic that also hits Glades Road coming from FAU and from Lynn Universities and from the other schools. We all know that when school's in session, it definitely slows down our traffic. When the kids are going to school, we have buses and we get behind some of the buses, it slows down. That east-west traffic gets killed when we're having our kids going to school. But hey, listen, I have kids that are in school, and I want to make sure they get to school safe. So it's going to slow down what's going to go on. You don't ever talk about that. Okay, it also is based upon seasonality. When the snowbirds are down, it does impact our roads. You don't seem to ever talk about any of those things. All we ever talk about is development. That is not what's impacting all of our traffic. And if we stop for a moment and talk about the facts, people will understand that's not all that's happening traffic. Now, there are solutions. And they have talked about many different solutions, but you keep on throwing generalities into it, and that's not going to fix the problem. You know, many times, men much smarter than me have said, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. And now, being a transparent candidate, you should know more than most. You need to bring solutions to the table, not just magnify the problem by just bringing vague things and making statements. Jack does this very well. He brings out his great boards and he marks them up with crayons or markers or whatever he does, and he says things and he makes great statements, but he doesn't back them up with any facts. As a matter of fact, the one time that he actually called out the mayor, he said, either the mayor or anyone, absolutely anyone, wants to question our facts, you go right ahead, question our facts. I questioned him, said, let's come on. He met me. The very next day, he wanted to meet me. Okay? Met him for about an hour and a half, sat down and had a great conversation with him. He agreed to come on this show. The very next day, yourself and your board made him refuse to come on to this show and agree to talk about the facts. Why is that? Again, when you're talking about facts, and we want to talk facts, and you want to talk about the actual transparency of things, why is it that you and Boca Watch always fall short? The residents need to know the answers to those things. I'm more than willing to sit down and talk to you. We want to have the facts. Every other candidate has come on. I've had the pleasure of talking to every candidate, and the majority of them are very qualified individuals. They have the ability to lead the city into the next few years, and we have the opportunity to talk to them and talk about all of the different things that they would do differently and how they would lead the city. Other than yourself, who wants to run on transparency. I find that very, very, very odd. And unfortunately, again, you're not sitting here to answer these questions, and I think the residents of Boca Raton have the right to answer that. Now, we're going to look at, and we have the opportunity to look at all of the videos that you've placed. And the residents will see that all of your statements are very vague. Anybody can answer them. That's the reason why I think your motto is the way that it is it's a very vague statement. It's not going to get anywhere with it. It's very vague. Same thing with traffic. Same thing with all the other things you say. They're very vague. They're not going to get us anywhere. We have very serious things we need to get accomplished. Somebody with vague answers aren't going to get us there. So, again, I'm more than willing now to do a phone interview if you'd like to give us some of the answers and give us some clarity, and I'll get it out to the residents and to the people that listen to us here at the Boca Voice. We'd love to listen to what your answers are. Our city is on fire. We live in paradise. That's the reason why we need somebody to lead from the front. We can't have somebody that's giving us vague answers and just throwing out a lot of untruths and non-factual statements. We need to have somebody that's going to lead from the front. Please, I beg you, get out the vote. We need to make sure that everybody and your friends get out and vote on Tuesday. It's important. This is an important election. We need serious action taken. And if you want our city to head in the right direction, we need to make sure that the right people stay in City Hall. Thank you for watching. We look forward to seeing you next week on Fact or Fiction Friday. And I look forward to you following us on the Boca Voice. Thank you for following us. Thank you for watching.